Hey, what's going on? So I got my coilovers and they're Neomax by Silvers, and I went with custom springs. They're 12K front and rear, so I wanted a stiffer ride so it limits the travel. I don't like a squishy ride where the wheel travels up so much, you know, like hits your fender if you got an aggressive wheel setup. Should be pretty straightforward process on this car, you know, just a couple of bolts. So yeah, let's take a look here. So these got camber adjustment in the front. So these dimples here are actually to help the wrench grab onto the ring. First, you want to measure the spring preload. Make sure that both sides are symmetrical. You know, in this case, I'm measuring to the Teflon ring here, which is 7.5 inches. And measure here, exactly 7.5. And next thing you want to measure is the actual height. Let's say I'm measuring right from the top of this black ring here. I'm assuming it's made of rubber. All the way to the bottom of the ring, this ring here. This shows a little bit over 3.25 inch. So exactly the same. Now you don't want to spin this bracket too far here, because what happens is the shock starts poking out of here and it's going to hit your axle in the front. So don't worry about tightening these up yet. You'll do it once it's on the car. So the way to put this back in, it's pretty simple, and you'll know which side is left, which side is right, because there's no way to confuse them. So we're just going to line up the holes here and put the bolts back in. So I'm going to line this up and use the jack once again to prop it up. And I can see I need to raise it up just a little bit more, like right there. And the bolt without the washer goes on the bottom, because this bolt has a washer. I'm not sure why this one doesn't, but I don't know whatever. It goes right in because all the weight obviously is lifted. Just like this. So you want to plug in the ABS cable here. So make sure that it's vertical. The cable actually goes like this instead of like that when you plug it in. That's good enough. Give it a little force like this and it's good enough. Just tighten these in the opposite directions like this. See, the spring is right now a little loose, but it was preloaded like this from the factory, so I don't want to mess with it. Once the car is lowered, it's going to be really tight in there. So now that I've lowered this side, I can see it's a little bit too high still. So I'm going to try to lower the other side about, I guess, an inch lower than I did this side, and then readjust this side. So I'm going to set this to 2.5 now instead of 3.5. So now I'm back to this side, and I'm going to adjust this here while it's on the car already. So it's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is unbolt this little ring on the bottom. And the easiest way to measure this is to spin this ring exactly where you want it. So from here to the bottom of the ring, you want it to be 2.5. The keys are actually different. One is longer than the other. So the shorter one is for the smaller ring, and the longer one is obviously for the larger ones. So camber adjustment is pretty easy here. All you have to do is jack up the car and loosen these bolts, and then just navigate the wheel where you want the camber to be. So that's pretty much it for camber adjustment, and so far I've taken a quick ride last night and I found no clunks, no issues. I did notice that it's much stiffer than the stock suspension, but that's to be expected with 12K springs. You know, it's something that you need to adjust to. It's not jarring, it's not impractical, it's more like, I don't know, it's almost like a race car feel. It's definitely not for rough roads. If you have rough roads, I don't recommend these springs. I recommend something softer. And I set the dampening to 10. I noticed like on 5, it was a little bit too soft. Got a little bit of rubbing in the front, but of course the fenders need a little bit of work rolling them because they're quite chunky right now. I want to roll them like to the point where they're flat and they, you know, have that clearance. So what more to say? I'll do a detailed review on these coilovers at some point, but so far I like them a lot. I highly recommend. The quality is outstanding. I still have to adjust the back a little bit. It sits a little too high, but you know, with coilovers you need to go back and forth a few times, you know, to adjust, because like, once you lower the car, it's never going to sit exactly where you want it to. So that's pretty much it for this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.